I wanted to know him. As you do. I wanted to be him. I wanted to be the Flash.
You'll never be the Flash.
Exactly. And that realization is what broke me.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Flash episode 10 video. There was so much good Tom Cavanaugh, Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne stuff that we have to break down. Now obviously there was a big metahuman plot, someone trying to take the mantle as one of the new lead rogues with some Fast and Furious tech, but I really think the storyline they're teeing up with Nora and the Reverse Flash is going to be a little bit more rewarding for long-term fans and big comic book fans too. So we'll do Easter eggs and top 10 WTF. There's a new round of that Flash ring giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the episode on the video. So obviously careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet. But top 10, Reverse Flash explains his backstory to Nora. So the story that he tells is actually the Mark Waid version of the origin story from the Once and Future Flash. They actually did use the title of that comic, not the actual story, but just the title for the season 3 episode where Barry goes into the future, we meet Emo Barry, and we get this story about Savitar, how he became a time remnant, then they come back. That was like late season 3. All anybody really remembers from that episode is Emo Barry, saddest man alive. But the whole idea in this episode is, can bad people turn good? So he sort of teased that up when he talks about his legacy and how remorseful he is. He doesn't want to be known as the villain that everybody thinks he is right now. But I think they did a good job of paying that off at the end of the episode with that big WTF cliffhanger that we'll talk about in a second. But if you've never read that Mark Waid origin story for Eobard Thawne, it's a little bit different from the current one right now during the Rebirth era and from the Jeff Johns era. They sort of retconned it just a little bit, but it's essentially the same story. Reverse Flash gets his powers by reverse engineering the accident that gave Barry his powers using Barry's costume that he found in a time capsule, goes back into the past to visit the Flash Museum because he's so in love with the idea of the Flash. He just wants to see all things Flash. But the big surprise that he finds is he actually finds out that he's destined to become the Flash's greatest villain, and it breaks him. So when Tom Cavanaugh's Reverse Flash is talking about that, it's right off of that comic book page. But this is 90s era Reverse Flash we're talking about, and it was Wally West at that time that he was fighting. Barry Allen was still stuck in the Speed Force. They hadn't brought him back until Rebirth, so it was a long time before Barry Allen ever actually came back. Number 9, really awesome Easter egg. Nora and Barry talk about his green and his blue suits. Obviously, the Flash has worn a couple different blue suits. They're just winking a little bit at future Flash from the New 52 in the blue costume, as well as Blue Lantern Barry Allen, whose suit turns blue when he wears the Blue Lantern ring, which hasn't happened in a while. I don't think that we're ever going to see something like that on the TV show, but you can dream. If you really want Green Lantern stuff, maybe someday they'll get there. But the thing about the green Flash suit is that that's more of an Easter egg for Thaddeus Thawne, Inertia, who's the evil clone of Bart Allen. He was sort of the Reverse Flash for Bart Allen's era. There's the thing in the comics where they just use Reverse Flash as the term for whoever the evil speedster is that's facing that person. So that's why Hunter Zolomon was also called Reverse Flash for a little while, but the TV show kind of changes that a little bit. As far as other versions of Reverse Flash, I don't think that we're ever going to see Inertia on the TV show unless they did Bart, and if Bart shows up on a TV show, it'll probably wind up being Titans, which is kind of in a different universe. So because she's kind of got that Bart energy, I don't think we're ever going to see Bart Allen on the Flash TV show. But never say never. Like the whole idea with Nora during the episode is that they were trying to pay off this arc where she eventually goes back to agree to help Reverse Flash, and they were using the Weather Witch storyline to do that. So there was like a really circuitous route for her to learn her big lesson this week. But number 8, huge WTF, Cisco by far, probably the most bonkers person during the episode, suddenly thinks that curing all metahumans is a great idea. Oh, people will love this. There's no way that this could possibly go wrong. Nobody evil will ever get their hands on our cure and try to turn it against humanity. This is one of those storylines where a character is going to do something and feel like it's justified, even though everybody in the audience knows that it's going to go off the rails and somebody is going to turn this cure into a weapon and it's going to become a big deal in the future timeline. There's always like one character every single week that holds an idiot stick and does something really stupid, so this week it's Cisco. It's just the beginning. I expect this metahuman cure storyline to last for most of the rest of the season. 7, there was a big King Samson Easter egg inside that garage that Weather Witch and Silver Ghost went to. If you've never heard of Samson, he's a time-traveling descendant of the biblical version of Samson, so he has this super strength, like the actual Samson and Delilah story from the Bible. You probably remember him from that All-Star Superman storyline. But the whole thing here is obviously Weather Witch trying to decide whether or not she's going to turn good, and it's all part of Nora's storyline so that she'll come around on Reverse Flash, like, oh yeah, bad people can turn good. Silver Ghost is a comic book character, but the way they explain her name is that it's her call sign from the Air Force, and she's nothing like the comic book version of the character, who's like another D-list villain that barely appeared in any stories, so it's not that big a deal. You really only get upset when they change the really big A-list characters. Really funny Easter egg from Legends of Tomorrow 2, number 6, Heatwave's dirty book, Unchained Desire. If you guys don't watch Legends of Tomorrow or you missed that in a previous season, Heatwave had this running storyline in the background where he was writing a dirty book. So it was just really funny to see that he was capable of writing something like this and doing a good job, like the Barry joke. It's actually surprisingly well written. But I do love the other joke of Barry asking for food and then bringing him Big Belly Burger. Also a running storyline with the Speed Force time symbols too, because Sherlock Wells is on Nora's case trying to figure out what she's trying to hide. Even though she deleted all the evidence and all her logs out of Gideon's database, he'll probably figure that out within the next couple of episodes and things will come to a head. I don't think they're going to wait the entire rest of the season before Barry finds out what Nora's doing with Reverse Flash in the future. It'll just be too much fun watching him explode with rage, especially after number 5, Barry's big speech about villains turning good with Nora. Like, if we don't believe in him, who will? Like, he's basically telling her, because she literally mentions Eobard Thawne, maybe he could turn good someday, who knows? So of course that won't come back to bite him in the ass in the future. The whole thing about the rogues is that eventually they learn they can take advantage of Barry's good nature. He's not gonna kill people, so they try to use that against him. Superman as a comic book character is the same way. He usually tells people, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I will take you down, but I'm trying to find a better way to do this. Number 4, really big Batman name drop. They mention Wayne Tech again. I think this is all just building towards the Batwoman TV show, because even though Bruce Wayne is sort of blowing off in the wind elsewhere in the world, Wayne Tech is still very much alive. There are people that still work there that are also working with Batwoman. Right now, it's rumored that Batwing is going to be one of the characters that'll appear on her TV show, but they're only filming the pilot right now. They haven't officially picked it up to series yet. They only picked it up for a pilot, and they'll be filming that pretty soon. So I'd be willing to bet that around the time all the finales for most of the DC TV shows are airing, we'll hear more news about that. The way they explain the Fast and Furious James Bond car is that it's sort of an amalgam of the most advanced tech that you could possibly get, with probably some advancements made based on metahuman technology as well. Because a Mazo style, it has all these abilities that mimic some of the abilities that the Flash, for instance, has. Like, it can phase through things, it can turn invisible if it wants to. You could make a Batmobile reference, but I don't know what they're allowed to do in terms of that when it gets to the Batwoman stuff. They might have to leave that off limits, but they had the Batmobile on Titans, and if they can do it on Titans, maybe they can do it on Batwoman as well. But number 3, Nora turns around on Weather Witch, and she becomes, as Barry says, her new version of Captain Cold, a villain that became an ally eventually. So I wouldn't be surprised if Weather Witch comes back later this season and helps her out defeat Cicada or something like that. 2 was then going down into Caitlyn's dad's old lab. Oh, he was working on metahuman stuff down here. We'll use it to make our cure. So I think really what's going on with this is that what will wind up happening is they synthesize an actual cure that works, but somebody else gets their hands on it. And if you remember that post-apocalyptic timeline that Zari came from on Legends of Tomorrow, where metahumans were outlawed, they were all put in prisons, it'll be a situation like that because of what happens with this cure. Whether officially or unofficially, it just seems like some big group is going to try and take control of it and use it to try and control everyone, regular humans and metahumans alike. But Cisco feels like it would make everybody better. What could possibly go wrong? But that's where they'll be spending a lot of their spare time in the next couple of episodes. Number 1 WTF, as you would expect, is Reverse Flash's countdown clock. It's almost like Ned Stark on the block. Like, this is all I could think about when I saw that clock. Very heavily implied to his eventual execution, because he's in Iron Heights prison. He told Nora, their last conversation there at the end, I'm running out of time and I want to make things better. So hopefully they'll be more lenient on him, or there'll be a stay of execution. I think that's what he's hoping for. Things probably will not go down the way you expect them. It'll probably go off the rails. He'll either wind up escaping, or even Nora will do something crazy that will allow him to escape either knowingly or unknowingly. But if you look at his face and the way that he reacts to Nora when she comes back, it's almost like you can see the calculus going on in his brain. Like, he sounds very remorseful, but the look on his face says something very different. So I think that he's just trying to play for time. He's going to do anything he can to try and avoid that execution. The whole idea, coming back to Crisis on Infinite Earths and the passage about him in Nora's future newspaper, Reverse Flash leads army of shadow demons. That's about as evil as you can get inside the Arrowverse. So all this talk of him being remorseful and wanting to clean up his legacy just seems like it's going to come back to bite him in the ass. But let me know in the comments if you spotted any other really big Easter eggs that I didn't mention in the video. What'll happen is I'll name a giveaway winner when I post my Flash trailer video. There's a new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer with a whole bunch of different footage that I'll be doing a video for next. That video will be up later today, so just look out for that. Click here to rewatch the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer a billion more times and all my Easter eggs, and click here to learn all about Damian Wayne and Red Hood on Young Justice Season 3. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.